So did you, in your churches, did you find a lot of single women? Like, was it, because for us, it was like probably 3 girls to every 1 guy.
Yeah, I think, there was a lot of single women in the church, and there still are today.
Yeah.
You know, there still are today.
Yeah. I felt a lot of the single women in my church they weren't younger women, they were older women, I found. It's like they get to a point, they want to get right with God after maybe having to play, having a bit of life, which happens, some, it can happen different stages, but if we're talking about the women,
I actually think like there's a difference in the way, there's a fundamental difference in the way that men and women view God. And that's why there's so many women in the church. This is my hypothesis, right? So women are attracted to powerful men. And God is the most powerful man. That's why you'll hear...
that's interesting.
And that is why you'll hear women say, I don't need a man. I've got Jesus. You've heard women. I've heard women say that.
You know what?
And it's like I don't hear men say that. Men don't say, "Oh, I'm alright. I don't need a wife. I've got Jesus." It's like, oh, that's gay. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, but that's my theory. Like my theory is we have a fundamental difference, whether consciously or subconsciously, in the way in which we view God, because God is the most powerful man, and women are attracted to powerful men.
So here's my question though.
So I'm attracted to Jesus?
On some level, I don't know. I don't know the inner workings of the psychology around it, but
so here's my question though, because is it that they're going to God or is it that they're going to the church?
I think a bit of both. I think church is like, it's a communal setting, isn't it? It's like people like to be around a certain community.
Yeah.
And I think it gives them that sense of belonging to a community of some kind. But I do think, I just think that it's different. And I also think like, see, the last girl that I was seeing, like, seriously, she was very heavily Christian. And I'm not anymore. Like, I grew up, but I'm really not religious anymore. And it was interesting because when we were like together, she was like, oh, I don't know if this is correct. I don't know if this is right. I think, you should become a Christian. And I was like, no, that's not going to happen. She was like, well, I don't know if this is right. And I'm like, well, look, we're in this. We love each other. Like, what's the problem? And she was like, I have to go and speak to my pastor, right? And so I was just like, okay, I'm not happy with that, but if that's what you feel like you need to do. And then she came back and she was like, yeah, I don't think we can be together. And I was like, isn't that interesting? I said, the pastor must be your man then. She was like, what do you mean? I said, because any man that can talk to you and tell you not to be with me must be your man. I'm clearly not him. Do you know what I mean? So I said, go be with your man. And she was like, oh, it's not like that. I said, listen, no. No, because if I went away and I said, oh, I'm going to go and talk to Serena.
Yeah.
And I came back from talking to Serena and I was like, babe, I don't think we can be together. You're like, who the fuck is that bitch? What the fuck is she saying? Do you know what I mean?
I have never thought about
and I'm like, that must be your guy. And a lot of women, like, they idolize the pastors in these churches. Do you know what I mean? Like, they idolize the pastors. So the pastors have so much power over women.
Like, he's
in
the
church.
closest one to God out of everyone.
Right, exactly.
Do you think that's why? I think it's completely different, man. I'll be honest. I think it's more... I think a big reason why pastors today are idolized a lot by single women is because he tells them that God is going to bring... So all they have to do is wait. And if anybody knows anything about life, you can't just sit in your ass waiting for things to come to you.
Right.
So it kind of removes the responsibility of having to either put yourself out there or make the effort or put yourself in an environment where someone can come to you. You know? And I also think part of the reason, like I said, about I like the idea of God's the most powerful man, you know. But again, I think it's more because I just know a few older women who use the whole, but I've got Jesus as an excuse not to feel
Lonely.
Yeah. If we're gonna say it, if we're gonna call a spade a spade, it's like, you know, if all their friends have kids and they're married and stuff, and then she's the only one single, just like, oh, like, what's happened? She's like, nah, I got Jesus.
Right.
And the thing is, because it's like a religious sentiment, it's hard for anybody to.
Like Jesus ain't
to
hugging you at night time.
You're not gonna argue with that. If
Yeah.
someone says that, do you know what I mean? But that's just
But
my thoughts.
don't you think it's them arguing with themselves?
Yeah.
Low key. It's like they say, nah, I got Jesus, but just I feel like they're thrown at you. As you said, because they know it's a sensitive thing,
Yeah.
they're not, they just throw it so other people can't be like to them at all.
Yeah. Because
They
you can
can't
have
really
Jesus
call you
and have a man.
Because you can.
You can have both.
You can. But so, exactly. That's really my point.
Yeah.
That's really my point.
But the church, sorry, go on, Carl.
I was gonna ask you, the girl that like broke it off with you because you weren't Christian, were you hooking up with her?
Yeah, to some degree, yeah.
Yeah. So like, isn't that like, she go ask her pastor about that too?
I mean,
Like,
but that was the point of contention.
Yeah.
That she like,
How old was she?
she's like 30, 33.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So it's like, that was a point of contention because she felt guilty about it. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't feel guilty. Like, we're in love. Do what we want. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was, she had a stronger sense, I guess, or a stronger feeling towards, you know, the church and her religion and stuff, which is, you know, it's cool. It's just like a very interesting experience for me to go through. Like, oh shit, like Jesus cock blocked me. Do you know what I mean? Like what the fuck? It's just like, wow.
Never did I ever think I would ever hear those words in my entire life.
Oh my god.
Yeah, what happened, bro?
Wait.
Jesus cock blocked me, bro. Like,
Fuck.
Or he saved you. You never know.
You never know. It's true. You never know. You never know. It was not my portion, as they like to say.
Have you guys found? Do you think dating girls in the church is better? Like, do you prefer girls that are in church?
I think it depends what you're looking for.
Okay.
I think, because I've dated a couple of girls who were quite heavily Christian, and they're very traditional, which brings a lot of things which are really nice.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're at a certain stage in your life where, you know, I'm going to say they're quite wifey material, but if you're not looking for a wife, then it's not for you at that point in your life.
I would say at this point in time, in these days and times, generally churches are no different from the streets. The same women that are in church on a Sunday were just in the club on the Saturday.
Facts.
That's right. What do you know what I mean? Like,
Well, that's why I was asking, because I was thinking, I've heard a common complaint from men about dating in the church is that they're for the streets too. And they thought they were going to go to church to find a wife, and they just find like a 304 in sheep's clothing, you know? Like,
Yeah, that's true.
no, that's what I'm saying. There's the same. I think that the women in the church are the same nowadays. It's the same, because the women that, they're in the club, they're in the bars, they're doing the same things that we're doing, but I guess they have that in their head. They have that safety net of, oh, but I'm going to church, and you know, I do all this church stuff. It's like, well, you did have sex with Tyrone last night.
Father, forgive me for
You know what I'm saying? Like, you did have sex with him last night. Like, let's not lie, but if it makes you feel better that you're going to church on Sunday, then so be it. Do you know what I mean? So I don't.
You know when you said that, you know, some guys said about the girls that go to church for the streets, are they? How old are these women? Are they younger women? Are they older women? Like,
well, I've heard a couple different things. I've heard a lot of like single mothers go to the church and they become like born again virgins, basically.
Right. Yeah.
In the church I was involved in.
What is that?
what is
It's
that?
like when you re-virginize.
Do they do an operation to put your hymen back, or like
dead.
what's that?
It's like I mean, it doesn't really make sense.
I call bullshit. I'm not gonna lie, I call
it
bullshit.
doesn't. It's just basically like where the girls regret the guys they slept with before, and then they want to make the new guy wait for marriage for the girl, basically.
Yeah.
And I've seen girls that this like worked for, actually. Like, like there were girls that in my church, like from home, I wouldn't say they were like 30, like super, you know, but I've also seen girls like still single and they're like mid-30s, you know, because they're waiting.
Yeah.
So,
And do you know what's so funny? It's very interesting you say that, because there's such a high concentration of women in the church, right? And there's not such a high concentration of men in the church. The men that are in the church generally are probably married, probably
really good men, like
probably good men,
You know what I'm
but
saying?
so they get snapped up quite quick by these women. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, what happens is, as let's say in my situation, which is I've heard it a lot of the time, the pastor will say, obviously, the man is not in the church that you're seeing, because they have to go outside of the church to get a man, because there's none in the church generally. So when you go outside, that means you're not getting a church guy. They tell the pastor, and the pastor says, oh, he's not of the same, two people of the same yoke, or whatever the Bible verse is, right? You're not equally yoked, or whatever it was. And so the pastor basically puts, you know, a no, and says, no, you can't do that. And it's like, wow, can you imagine having, like, someone having that much control over your life?
That happened to me. That with my last boyfriend.
No
like
way.
okay, when I got baptized, they like told me, because I grew up Catholic and then I like switched to a Christian church.
Right.
And but then like they have to have you rebaptized, even though I don't know. But I was like, okay.
So you're a born again virgin?
No, I wasn't. no, but I don't. That's not real. Like, you can't, like. But my last boyfriend wasn't part of the church, but it was like one girl to every 3 guys.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what else am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to fight over the like 5 beta guys here.
That's another thing, right?
Like,
church guys
they're
are soft. Women find church guys quite soft.
Yeah.
Would you say that's true?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Like,
they're quite square and soft. That's what I've heard women say.
okay, this is usually how I'm gonna tell you church dynamics. There's usually like 1 or 2 guys that aren't, like a couple, right? But all the girls want him.
Right.
Like, I'm not trying to fight over a guy with like 10 other girls that are all lined up, you know?
Yeah.
So
and he knows he's got the pick of the bunch.
yeah.
Like, he's like, what? I can just swagger into church.
When I could just date someone not in the church, like, that seems a lot easier.
But then your pastor will say that's the wrong thing to do.
That was the thing. I got a call. It was like really awkward. This was such an awkward phone conversation. It wasn't from the pastor. It was from like another girl that I did like Bible study with at the time.
Right.
And she like called me and was just like, well, he's not in the church. And I'm like, okay, so what? Like, what are you telling me to do? Should I dump him? But no, I did it. I just dated him anyway.
Okay.
But
But there's that pressure though.
no, it made me not want to go anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's like awkward.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? But that's the thing. This is the difference. Catholics, we